All right, fans, make some noise. It's time for another edition of Working in Hockey Podcast. Here's your host, Nick Bowins.
That was awesome. I think we're going to have to use that for every episode. That's what you do, guys, when you have a PA announcer on the show. You pass the puck, you let the experts handle it. Rodney Martin, the voice of Penn State hockey and football, joining the show here today. Rodney, thanks so much for the intro, the time, and how you doing here today?
Nick, thanks again for the opportunity. I'm having a good day, trying to stay warm, just hanging out inside, all bundled up in a hoodie and everything. So we're getting through it.
Yeah, it's we got a couple more weeks of winter according to the groundhogs, but then we'll start to see sunny days here. We had the pleasure of meeting quickly there at the Penn State women's hockey game last Saturday night at Pagula Arena there. Great to connect in person and wanted to do this conversation here. Obviously timely with the outdoor games that we had at Beaver Stadium. So first and foremost, from your spot or your seat there, Rodney, what was last weekend like at Beaver Stadium?
It was a absolute. I've been involved with a lot of sports. This is my 26th year doing announcing, and I don't think I've ever been a more, even including football, I have not been a part of a more exciting environment. Especially hockey was my first love, my first announcing gig, so I always go back to that. And the fact that 75,000 people came out and when it was single digits or less in the morning and just I would say blow the roof off, but there's no roof. And it was just such an amazing atmosphere. And and I knew that it was going to be, we knew we are going to may have some ice issues, but the fans just carried it and the whole atmosphere. And we did everything but get the win. But it was exciting. I think it's a tremendous success for the university.
Absolutely. No, it was my first time on campus in town there, and I was blown away. Obviously, you always hear about the different crowds around college sports and the different chants and cheers around the stadium, but some of the cheers after goals and the way that the crowd was getting into it. Obviously, going into overtime there too. That was a special game. It looked beautiful. The sun was out. The photos. Those are things that the guys are going to keep with them forever. I'm sure you got some of you that you'll carry those memories forever as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great, and like you said, 75,000 people there. It was loud, it was proud. Obviously, we would have hoped for a W there in overtime, but that was an awesome event. And you're doing all the Penn State hockey games there. Talk to me a little bit about how the season's gone for the team there overall. Obviously, a great squad, some big names, and I guess on ice. Before we dive into your career a little bit further, how's the season been as a whole?
I think it's been kind of, well, for the women, it's kind of what we expected. And for the men, it's a little, we got off to a little bit different start. We had obviously, with Gavin coming in, with Jackson Smith, our first round pick that we've ever gotten. I think the expectation was a little high, and probably deservedly so. But with the whole change I think with the addition of a lot of the CHA or the CHL kids coming down, I think everybody elevated their game. And so in general, college hockey got a lot tougher. And so now you're having these kids come in that probably, if they were just coming in as the only CHL play, they might have been able to, make a big impact. And they have, like we mentioned before we went on air. And I think both Jackson and Gavin have played completely different games after the World Juniors. Also, with our guys, some of our guys going over and playing in the Spengler Cup was amazing. Aiden Fink, Calgary kid, he's just amazing. He's playing a complete 200-foot game, and I'd really be surprised if he sticks around for another year. He's a pick of the Nashville Predators. As far but then we have their basics for not the basics, but your role players like your Charlie Shirados. Unfortunately, he's injured right now. JJ Webush, Matt DeMarsico, Pittsburgh kid. Those guys are just amazing. They're just so much fun to watch, and they play hard. They never leave anything on the table. Talking about the women, we have our first U.S. Olympian in Tessa Janicki. She's over there, had two apples today. So that's really good to see. With the league that we play in, we've been so dominant in Atlantic hockey. Looks like we won the regular season again for the fourth year in a row, and we're on pace to get another. But the thing is that we did a lot, so we've always had that schedule, and then the with the women playing the non-conference schedule, it's been like a meat grinder, playing like really hard teams like Ohio State. We went to Minnesota, we played Wisconsin. I mean, all these the powerhouses, and we've actually did pretty well in those. So hence, that's why we're fourth in the NPI, and we really do have a chance. This could be a really epic spring coming through, winning. If we finish the AHA on top in the postseason, we will host an NCAA regional and then turn around 2 weeks later. Frozen Four is going to be in Pagola Ice Arena. Looking forward to that.
I think that will be awesome, and I'm hoping and assuming that the ladies will be there for that one because, like you said, great team to watch. We watched them both indoors and outdoors at both games last weekend there, and yeah, great product on the ice from both the men's and women's teams. Rodney, want to get a little bit more into your career here. We'll put the on ice stuff aside for a couple minutes, but you've been there for quite a few years now, just over 25, I believe. First kind of get involved in the program there? When did you first kind of start poking around some of these different opportunities there at Penn State?
Sure. I mean, long before I had this gray beard. But yeah, so I came here in January of '96. I was spent 6 years in the Navy. Matt came here to get an electrical engineering degree, and I got on campus in January, and I heard there's a club hockey team. I was like, I'm there. And first, they had a weekend game that the first weekend I was there. Went to the game. It was amazing. They had played in a Greenberg Ice Pavilion, which was like a little 1,300 seat arena, just like pale yellow lights. And it stank, but man, it was so much fun to be there. And there was this group called Hockey Management Association, which was a student run group that would do everything from selling program ads to selling tickets to doing ushers, doing game presentation, stats, everything. And I said, sign me up, I'm in. So the next night, I've never paid to go to a hockey game at Penn State since. Uh, first that first night I did ushering, and then I moved on from there to, since I had a pretty heavy math background, I went to doing the stats. I did, and my brother. So I'm the youngest of four. My oldest brother is been in radio since he was a teenager. So I really wanted to get into that, but he really kind of discouraged me from. He said, "Stay away from radio." So, but he would help me out and give me some music ideas, and so I was doing I was being the DJ there, and then come 1999, the person who had who had been doing the announcing graduated, and so this other guy came in and he said, "Well, I want to do the announcing." Well, we have a inter squad scrimmage. He did that, and he didn't do a really good job. So Joe Batista, who was the head coach at the time, he said, "Well, we need somebody else to do it." And I said, "Well, I'll give it a shot." And here I am, 26 years later, still doing it, and one of the fortunate few that had made the transition from club uh, to varsity. But yeah, that the whole time in HMA, you talk about like working in hockey. I made pretty much everything. Like I said, I did ushering, I did season tickets, I went out to business door to door trying to sell program ads, you name it. So it was kind of like, in addition to getting an engineering degree, here I am spending all my Friday nights and Saturdays and all through the week pushing Penn State hockey and selling it to the community. And like I said, it was great. I mean, just getting that experience, doing a little bit of everything. It was great. And like I said, it's still so much fun to do even today.
I think that's phenomenal to hear because I think I preach that every episode here, Rodney, of just the importance of getting in the building. And it doesn't matter if you're doing concessions or ushering or stats or PA, just being in the building, you get to make those connections. You get to see how the sausage is made in different components of the business, right? And, you get to be in that room when they say, hey, we're looking for somebody else to do X, Y, Z. And I think that's the most important thing that I try to preach a lot to people is just get there. You never know which path it'll take or which route it'll take. Just get that first step in the door. Once you did kind of pick up the mic there and kind of head down this PA path, what were some of the learning curves for you? You mentioned your brother in radio there. Did he have any tips, tricks, or otherwise for you to get you started?
Yeah, actually, he was the one that I mean, so before we used to carry this, like, I mean, this massive soundboard across the ice. I don't know I don't know how I never fell down carrying this like 40-pound amp across and plugging in. And we used to have a track player, and he would say, well, there's this, you could use a laptop. And so we started to introduce that, and other like radio, BSI Stinger, I think was the sound program. So it's like the quick hit ones, like if you have like the goal, like your mock goal horn. Now we have a real goal horn in Pagula. Put, sound effects and all that. So he helped me. He kind of helped me and drove me in that direction. He also said he was also saying, just be loose, and kind of also tips to help keep the vocal cords in fresh every season. And yeah, so, and the other tricks, the biggest thing obviously with the talent level, going from club hockey, which is fantastic and it's growing, and I think it's awesome. Hockey is hockey, right? The biggest difference is pronunciation guides. I don't have to go around, chase down the assistant coach, say, "Hey, how do you say this name?" Because I mean, we had, with the exception of obviously when the Penn State Icers, as we were called, we couldn't call ourselves Nittany Lions. We were probably the premier club hockey program in the country. Everything but a varsity program. In fact, for the longest time, we were the sixth largest draw on campus of all sports, varsity included, in a 1,300 seat arena. So it was packed every night. And some of these kids that come in and play in club hockey, they have mismatched skates. The pants aren't always the same. It's like, well, let's put on a good show for them. I mean, yeah, we may dominate them, but let's be respectful of them. And I want to make sure that when I'm, saying their name, I say it right. I mean, I think that served me well throughout my career. And I actually had the opportunity. I also called a lacrosse game. Joe Metinati, who's play-by-play for the Caps. I got to meet him, and that was the one thing he said. He, even at the NHL level, he went down to the locker room. He said, "Hey, this is how the pronunciation go. How do you say it?" And the player was like, "I don't care how you say my name." He's like, "No, I want to say it right." So, I mean, that was another thing. I think it's kind of more what my brother helped me with, but it's kind of like how I would like to treat the opponent, with some respect like that, just
Yeah,
saying
I
their
think
name
that's
properly.
awesome. That's awesome, and it's those little details, right? Those are the things that stick with people, and especially nowadays, they make the clip, they make the call. Like you want to know you're getting those right. So I totally hear you there. What other sort of changes, did you experience the program experience transitioning from such a powerhouse club team to now the varsity team here?
Yeah, so my job got a heck of a lot easier because they're towards the end of the club days. I don't know how I did it now, but I was doing the announcing. I was also kind of helping keep track of the penalty box because I was sitting between the penalty boxes, so making sure. And in club hockey, you get a lot of
A lot of
overlapping
penalties.
penalties. You got to make sure the right person gets back out on the ice. I was also helping do the music and updating social media and the website. So I don't know how I did that. So Mike Wierzbicki, who's now working, he's now at University of Minnesota. He was my first boss here when we transitioned. He was actually the first one said, "We want to keep you around announcing." He said, "We're going to make your job a lot easier. All you have to do is talk." I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." I miss doing the music. I still do miss doing the music sometimes, but yeah, just, we're going to make your job easier. All you do is talk, and fine with me. I get to enjoy the game a little bit more.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what year did the team move into Pagula Ice Arena there?
2012.
2012. And I guess, I would assume, moving into that modern of a building and, just the setup overall there, that was a nice breath of fresh air for the program, the fans, and yourself as well, just working in the rink there, getting to see that much money going back into the school, the community, and, have that new home for the team too.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of breath of fresh air, when they were setting up the building, they said, "Rodney, where would you prefer to be announcing?" I was like, "Well, I spent enough time between the penalty boxes and smelled what that's like. Why don't you get me up high?"
Yeah.
So actually, my perch is actually up. If you it's in gate A, so it's off to kind of in the corner. But I mean, you've been there. The views everywhere are just amazing. And, if you have time, I got an interesting story how, like, that that side hustle of being announcing. And then, so when they came in and they said, "We're gonna build this building," Mortensen Construction had a, 3D model of the building. Um, the lab where I worked at the time was called C Lab, And one of the at here at Penn State, and one of the things that we have is a 10-foot square room where every wall is a projection and the floor is a projection. I went to Joe Batista. I said, Joe, you have to get that model over there. And they imported that 3D CAD model into the cave. So you would then open up the side, walk in, and you have like a little Xbox controller, and you wear the 3D glasses, and it's a one-to-one representation of
That's so
the
cool.
arena. I've given more, and then to top it all off, they said, Rodney, would you be interested in doing all our recruit tours? So every recruit that we had, we bring them in and say, hey, here's a hole in the ground. I say, well, let's go take it and give you a virtual walkthrough. I gave like 100 tours virtually. So when I finally got to go to the construction site and Joe was walking us around, he's like, I think the locker room's, no, Joe, it's this way. I've been here 100 times. I know where I'm doing.
That's so cool to be able to do that, and I'm sure you had some recruits' jaws on the floor too when they walked into, that
Yeah.
place.
At the time, that was like cutting edge technology. Now it's like, yeah, it's cool, but
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. And tell me a little bit about, obviously, again, you're the man behind the mic. You've got the pipes for the role there, but there's a lot of people that go into making all these different jobs and teams and roles work with any sports organization. What are some of the roles that you work most closely with on a game night in preparation, getting those pronunciation guides? Who are some of those people that you've been able to lean on in the building there as well?
yeah. So, I mean, game week starts, it starts midweek. I mean, obviously with college hockey, we usually play Friday, Saturdays, sometimes Thursday, Friday if there's a football game going on. Um, I usually start my prep early in the week, doing research, making sure that I do have those pronunciation guides. So I go to opposing team websites. If they have game notes, that's fantastic. If not, I actually reach out to their sports information directors, our sports information directors for men's John Hanna, and for the women Eric Hart. They are both amazing. They are fantastic guys to work with. They give me everything I need as far as like our pronunciations, and make sure that I'm set with for our guys before we get started. Game night, go in. I usually get there about 2 hours before puck drop, so I can go over my script. So we have in-game entertainment or game presentation directors. Emily Shashko she does both for men's and women's hockey. So I get there. She has my script there with all the PA reads and with each media timeout what we're going to be doing. Andy Ratty is the gentleman who runs our video boards. So he's the one. He works for. I'm going to get it wrong. We just changed. It's Dectronics, I believe. Andy, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But he has on the script. There's a thing we need to see this video at this time. So when I get the starting lineups, I pass it to him. So we make sure when we're doing the read that we have the right person up there. Then I have to turn around and make sure I say the right person. I've made that mistake a number of times. Well, not too many times, but also then I'm also interacting with the replay official, Jay Horgus, who's in the booth next to me. I make sure that he has the line sheets. When he does review, he needs to see, okay, who do you think was on the ice? And then the people who work down in the penalty box themselves, I'm usually in communications with them, either directly or through, I have a spotter that sits there because I have to be on the channel with the production and they're on the channel with the scoring. But sometimes I have to fill that role too. So yeah, there's just a lot of people, and then I get to once I get set up, then I kind of settle down and walk around, and the ushers that we have there, everyone who works at Pagula is just so amazing, and that's what it's why it's such a joy to come to go do a game there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love to hear that because I think it again just illuminates how many different roles and paths there are in the game, right? You think everybody thinks about coaches and scouts and refs and the obvious ones when it comes to roles or paths in hockey, but I mean, you just rattled off 8 to 10 there of all the different people that it takes to make a game experience and a fan experience as special as the ones at Penn State there. I see the Hockey Valley sign behind you there, and on the
Yeah,
sweater, I heard some rumors. Did you have involvement in maybe coining the term Hockey Valley there?
yes, actually, I did. So one of the things that I did as club hockey, we do the team website. In 2006, I think it was 2006, the Senators were in the Stanley Cup Finals watching it, and I saw they had a banner in the rafters said, "Welcome to Hockey Country." I thought, "Oh, that's really cool." It's like the hockey country, hockey happy valley, hockey valley. Boom, Hockey Valley was born. So then I immediately, and you can ask my wife. I've redesigned. It's like I would do the site; it would look awesome. People would say it'd look awesome, and then I'd turn around like a 2 year, or like a year and a half later. It's like, I'm not happy with this, and then I would just do it again. So I did it, and then I came up with the that some. So it's actually that's like the original logo. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law made that. Well, he cut the metal, and I painted it and put the lights on it. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like the original logo that I came up with. So yeah, that's how Hockey Valley came about.
That's awesome, that's awesome, and it's everywhere today. I mean, from the apparel, the merch, to the souvenir hot chocolate mug that I brought home from Beaver Stadium. Hockey Valley is, what it's known as today, so that's
I
an
don't
awesome
get, and
cause.
I don't get a cut of that. So I is when we transitioned, I said, look, you guys want it, you use it. And I'm really happy that they're using it. But everybody says you don't get a cut of that. I'm like, no. And I'm thinking like, oh man, I wouldn't have
Need
to work
need
so
to
hard on my real job if I got a cut of that.
we need to get you an agent before the next slogan pops up there.
Yeah.
But well, that's awesome, and I mean, obviously, one of the calls, the chants that Penn State fans are known for is "We Are Penn State." Tell me a little bit about that. Getting to call that at games, hearing the crowd roar back at you. I mean, that's I'd imagine you get goosebumps just about every time.
Even as when you said that, I'm just sitting here. I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for 26 years, and I still, every time I go into Pagula, I just still look around with awe. And yeah, that is one of the most incredible things to hear. Well, like we finished the goal and we say we are, kind of started that towards the end of the club season. I was like, how can we, because you hear like in Buffalo they do the woo, and then there every team has their own. I was like, oh, that would just fit in there perfect. So it took a little bit to catch on, but man, it caught fire. And like you said on Saturday when we got to do it, and you get 75,000 people chanting it back to you, like when you. Yeah, I mean they do that at Pagula. Not, I'm sorry, at Beaver, like I've done for football when they do the thing at the beginning, use the We Are Penn State with the flags and have 110,000. It's loud. I mean, you could hear that across campus. But the fact that we do that in Pagula, and when you get 6,600 people in a building, it's definitely chill inducing for sure.
That's so cool, and yeah, it was beyond loud at Beaver Stadium there. I mean, I think without a roof, that's gotta be the loudest building I've ever been in there, and hearing the fans chant that was super cool. Again, you see it on TV, you see it on socials, but to be there, in such a sports crazed stadium in town, that was awesome to see. Rodney, I can't thank you enough for the time here and kinda sharing your story, your journey here. The thing that I always like to wrap up with here, even though we touched on it a little bit throughout, is just the best piece of career advice that you can give anybody looking to break into the hockey industry.
Yeah, so I would say, like you said, whatever opportunity, if I don't care what it is, just take the opportunity, put yourself out there because nobody's going to give it to you. You got to go out there and let people know that hey, I'm interested in this, and also being involved, like I said, with number of sports around campus. And people talk about like announcing or radios. Like just get reps. I don't care where you're doing it. Just get reps. I mean, if you're at home, practice at home, practice your craft because it doesn't come easy. It's not just automatic. You have to get a style. So you're only going to find that through doing repetition. And like I said, just put yourself out there and let yourself loose and give it a go.
I think that's impactful to hear from somebody with the resume that you have, Rodney, and I'm sure you're still making tweaks and changes every week, every game as well. There's never enough reps. There's never too many reps. It's just about getting those opportunities. So truly can't thank you enough for the time here, Rodney, and best of luck the rest of the season with the men's and women's programs.
Nick, I appreciate it. And thanks again for coming to Hockey Valley.